Hello there, this is the Shadow Ranger, and I'm going to do a quick video. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I'm going to answer this question that I got. It is from, let's see here, SVB5942. And he sent me a question. He says, what do you think about Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Zack Ryder, who the IWC love, as champions in the WWE? Do you think that the WWE will do a good job displaying them as top guys in the company? Daniel Bryan, I hate. CM Punk and Zack Ryder. CM Punk, okay. Zack Ryder, I really like. As I said before, I was on the Zack Ryder bandwagon way before he got super popular, way before the YouTube show. You can go see my videos. I've been talking about how good Zack Ryder is for a long time, and I'm glad that he's finally got the shot, and I hope he does good with it. Everything for Zack Ryder depends on how well they choose to book him. He's a lower card guy, so there's more people that's believable for him to challenge that it wasn't believable for the guys to challenge. The thing about Zack Ryder is that they finally treated the U.S. title as if it was important, and that's a problem WWE and TNA has had for a while, is that mid-card titles tend to not get treated as important, mainly because they don't get defended much and people don't talk about wanting them. Zack Ryder has been really, since Dolph Ziggler has been champion, Zack Ryder is the only guy who's actually talked about wanting the U.S. title. That's why everybody cared and wanted him to win it. Nobody else seems to care about having that belt. You never saw any promos of anybody else saying that, I want the U.S. title, Dolph Ziggler, look out because I'm coming after you. But you got more heels to work with than you do faces, so I think it'll work better with Zack Ryder. The thing with Zack Ryder, you need to have heels talking about wanting the belt. All the other lower card heels need to be cutting promos. Give them time, whether it's online, on a TV show, sometime on Superstars. Just 1 or 2 minutes for them to cut a quick promo where they say something to the effect of, I want the U.S. title, Zack Ryder, look out, because I'm coming after you. You got plenty of guys to work with. I think I mentioned this in my last video. I think I did. But, let's run through them. Let's talk about, potential feuds for Zack Ryder. Let's look at some heels we got here. Again, I said before, if he ever debuts, you got Brodus Clay. That could be somebody you build up to down the road. I don't know what happened with the Brodus Clay debut, but if he ever gets to make his return, that's somebody you can challenge for. You just need to have him cut a promo saying just something to the effect of, not the exact word, something to the effect of, I want the U.S. title. That's my goal. Zack Ryder, watch your back because I'm coming after you. Alright? You got Kurt Hawkins if you want to do the jealous ex-partner thing. You got David Otunga. You can always do the rematch with Ziggler. You got Drew McIntyre. Let's see here. You got Swagger. You got... I was going to say Michael McGillicuddy because he is heel, but I don't... Not really. You got Tyler Rex you could get a match out of. Let's see, going over to the SmackDown roster, you probably get a match out of Heath Slater once. Got Hunico, got Jinder Mahal. Tyson Kidd. I don't know about Wade Barrett. Because part of me thinks Wade Barrett has moved up to higher than that, than going for the U.S. title. And plus, he's feuding with Orton right now, so you could go back to that at a later time if you need to. You got a couple of face versus face matches you can do. Not something you want to do a whole lot, but you could do Ted Jr. as a face versus face program once or twice. You could do that. Maybe only once, because face versus face is not something you want to do a whole lot. But Ted Jr. is just kind of finding a new thing here, and he's doing his whole thing with his fans, his DiBiase posse, getting himself over. Excuse me there, had to burp. After he finishes this program he's been doing with Jinder Mahal, I don't know if they're going to hold that off or not. If they're going to finish that up or not. I hope that didn't get canceled. I was actually liking those matches. So, and they had a simple storyline where Jinder Mahal's talking about Ted DiBiase, you're rich, why don't you act like it? Why do you hang out with peasants and all that stuff? And Jinder Mahal, Ted DiBiase kind of be like the more rich guy who's not being an elitist rich guy who's not throwing it in people's faces. I thought that was nice. I hope they go back and do a little more with that. But if you build Ted Jr. up on SmackDown and you can eventually have them go at each other, face versus face, Zack has the Zack pack, DiBiase has his DiBiase posse, and they could have one really good match together for like one pay-per-view. I mean, not something. It's a face versus face, so you don't really want to go that long with it. But one or two matches you could do something fun with. Another face versus face, if you want to try out, you could do Justin Gabriel. That's a possibility. There's a lot of possibilities for Zack Ryder as his title. You have to have other people, other mid-card guys talking about wanting to win that title. They need to say something to that effect of having just a man on Raw saying, I want the U.S. title. I'm coming after you, Zack Ryder. That's my goal. People don't. That's a big thing with belts now, and it's the same with TNA. Nobody talks about wanting the belts anymore. You have mid-card titles, and I'm getting on my mid-card title rant here. So, SVB, I'm sorry I'm getting off topic, but I've been wanting to do this rant for a while, but let me go ahead and get it out here. Is that, they don't portray the mid-card titles as important anymore. You don't have people talking about wanting those belts anymore. I remember back in the day, people used to cut those kind of promos. They would, not all the time, but people used to say, like, I want the Intercontinental title. I want that belt. I want to do this. That's my goal. I'm looking at that guy. I remember one of the big things. If you watch some of those old 80s Macho Man promos, like when he first came in, every promo used to be about, at the time he came in, Hulk Hogan was the world champ and Tito Santana was the Intercontinental champ. And Macho Man used to do all these promos talking about, look out Hulk Hogan, look out Tito Santana, I'm coming for you because I'm going to take over. You're all going to be yesterday's news when I'm done. And you don't have people talking about it. And that's the thing. So the first thing you need to do is you got to portray the belt as important. That's the most important thing they can do to help Zack Ryder get more over. Have him be the fighting champion. Have people talk about wanting the belts. Have people fight for the belts. Have the commentators put that over when two of the lower card guys are wrestling each other. That a big win could go a long way in them getting in line for a shot at the U.S. title. There's been a lot of superstars saying that they want a shot at Zack Ryder now that he's the new U.S. champion, and the commentators could put that kind of stuff over. That's what commentators are supposed to do. If Michael Cole and Booker T and Michael Cole and the King weren't always yelling at each other, they could be putting over some of the younger talents, the lower card guys, talking about what their goals are. I had to take a swallow of juice. Had to make my own cran grape juice. Went to the supermarket to get some. They ain't had it. I had to buy grape juice and cranberry juice and mix them together myself. It's good though. Cran grape is delicious. Anyway. But let me do short version, quick fantasy booking. Let's book Zack Ryder with the U.S. title. Build him up here real quick. I'm not going to do storyline stuff, so I don't need to give my disclaimer, but I might do a more in-depth one. You could do a pay-per-view against, let's say, Rumble rematch with Ziggler. After the Rumble, bring back Drew McIntyre. You could do that program for a month. Brodus Clay you can do for a month. Well, Brodus Clay you probably do 1 or 2 months with Brodus Clay. I think going into Mania might build up you don't have the time to build up a really big feud that's like WrestleMania quality with Zack Ryder right now, because usually like the big WrestleMania matches, they usually get built pretty quickly. But going into Mania, you can do some type of triple threat or 4-way match type thing. You can do a pay-per-view of him and Hunico. Hunico got some new guy, like bodyguard type guy with him anyway, and plus he's got Epico and Primo backing him up. So they're kind of like, they could do like some gang style stuff on Zack Ryder where they attack him and beat him down a bit. He's kind of like to fight him on his own, and he can round up a couple helpers to back him up again. That's how you could build up to that with DiBiase. You do Zack Ryder and Hunico for a while. Then Hunico got this bodyguard with him now on SmackDown. I don't remember his name though. They said it last time. And then he's got Epico and Primo. They can do a thing where he does a beatdown, and Zack Ryder comes to back him up and help him. And then Ryder, not Zack Ryder, DiBiase comes out and helps Zack Ryder fight those guys off. You do that match against like Hunico's group, Hunico and whoever his bodyguard dude is now, and then DiBiase can say, I had your back. I want you to do something for me. I want you to give me a shot at the U.S. title. And they're like, all right, I'll do it. I'll give you a shot. Then you can do that pay-per-view. You can do a month of Jinder Mahal. That's a pay-per-view you can do. You got Justin Gabriel you could do on the episode of SmackDown. That's a title match you could do. Kofi Kingston you could do on the title match on SmackDown. I don't think that was a match that was big enough for a pay-per-view. Same Michael McGillicuddy. That's a match you could do on a SmackDown. Tyler Rex you can do on a SmackDown episode. Tyson Kidd you can probably get a pay-per-view out of Tyson Kidd. I think he's good enough that you could get a pay-per-view match out of him. So I mean you got options. I think I might do a later video where I do more like flesh this out with like the actual storyline to do these matches for Zack Ryder, but not right now. But for Zack, it all depends on, are you going to continue portraying the U.S. title as something important? Are you going to have the lower card heels talking about wanting the U.S. title? Are you going to put heels after him? You can always do some, again, Jinder Mahal, Zack Ryder's the U.S. champion. You got an evil foreigner. Evil foreigner gimmicks never fail. You can always do evil foreigner. But for Zack Ryder, it's all about continuing to have the other lower card guys, mid card guys talk about especially the heels talk about, don't like Zack Ryder. I want the U.S. title. I'm going after Zack Ryder to get that belt. You need to keep that going. And I'll probably do another video where I do some more in-depth talk on that one. Will WWE do a good job displaying Zack Ryder as a upper mid card guy? Recent history leads me to say no. If the fans stay behind Zack Ryder, then he'll be able to do more. So I think Zack Ryder depends on if the fans stay behind him. All these people who are getting on his bandwagon now, as long as they stay on his bandwagon, he'll be popular. Punk, keep doing what you're doing with CM Punk. Gotta not know how to say. Daniel Bryan, I'm not there with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's a great wrestler, but I find him quite boring. And the way he won the belt made him like a total schmuck. I mean, he didn't even do a move to Big Show. He just came in, handed the briefcase, rolled him over, and pinned him. My guess is they're gonna turn Big Show heel and do that program. Because if they're not turning Big Show heel, I don't know why they bother doing that. If they weren't going to turn Big Show heel, it would have made more sense for him to cash in on Mark Henry. Mark Henry beats Big Show. Mark Henry puts the chair on Big Show's ankle to try to break it. He goes up top to jump off on the chair to break Big Show's ankle, but Big Show moves. Henry slams down. That gives Big Show enough time to get up. Big Show whacks him with the chair a few times, picks him up, gives him the knockout blow. Big Show gets out of the ring to leave. Daniel Bryan runs in, catches in, pins Mark Henry, 1-2-3 world champion. Or better yet, what would have made sense is if Big Show chokeslammed Mark Henry, put the chair on his ankle and smashed Mark Henry's ankle. Did the ankle spot, because that chair thing doesn't really hurt your ankle. Did the chair spot, and then Mark Henry's barely standing up. Daniel Bryan can barely stand up. Daniel Bryan comes down, cashes in, puts an ankle lock on Mark Henry, and Mark Henry has to tap. Then that would have been better, but the fact that the way they did, my guess is they're turning Big Show heel and going to do Big Show and Daniel Bryan for a little bit. That feud doesn't really inspire much in me. You know, WWE always tries out different newer guys a champion, going into the Royal Rumble because you don't need a big match to sell the Rumble, because the Royal Rumble match sells that pay-per-view. I don't see Daniel Bryan being champion at WrestleMania. He's the one I say is going to lose his belt first. Of those three, I see Daniel Bryan losing his title first. I see Zack Ryder being champion going into Mania. I see CM Punk being champion going to Mania. Daniel Bryan going into WrestleMania as champion, I don't see it happening. I don't think Daniel Bryan's going to be portrayed very well as champion. I think he's going to be jobbed a lot. And really, I don't think he ever should have been champion. Daniel Bryan just doesn't have the it factor. His look ain't that bad. You know, it wouldn't kill him to shave that damn beard off. And he's a fantastic wrestler, but he's fucking boring. Boring doesn't sell tickets. Yeah, boring don't sell tickets, and Daniel Bryan bores me to death. It's the same thing I've said about this youth movement for a while. Everybody talks about WWE pushing all this youth, but a lot of this youth is boring. Daniel Bryan needs a real gimmick. You know, they made Cody Rhodes interesting by giving him a gimmick. And Cody Rhodes was as dull as dirt until somebody came to the idea to go with this whole diva, said he was the most handsome guy, and do dashing Cody Rhodes, and then they came into the disfigure Cody Rhodes. Now this new version of it, they made him interesting. You gotta make some of these other guys interesting. Daniel Bryan, I still think Daniel Bryan is sleep-inducing. He's boring. He does not interest me at all. And I watched SmackDown and him standing in the middle of that ring with the World Heavyweight title, looking at the Big Show and Mark Henry on the other side, and he looked like a total joke. He looked like a fucking joke. So, Daniel Bryan, I don't think it'll last. I don't think it should last. He's boring. He doesn't look like a World Heavyweight Champion. Somebody give the guy a charisma transplant, and then we'll talk. CM Punk, he's doing his thing, no complaints. Zack Ryder, glad he finally got it. He deserved it a long time ago. So that's what I got to say about this topic. It took a lot longer than I thought it would because I got off on a tangent, but 17 minutes. So SVB5942, thank you for the question. It was a good question, and I enjoyed answering it. So that'll be all for this video. This is the Shadow Ranger. Thank you for listening. If you like my videos, please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at TJSMITH3. If you have a question you'd like me to answer in a video or a topic you'd like me to talk about, just drop me a message and I will talk about it. That is all. So, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.